Warriors really couldn't have had a much better start to their season. Not only did the team start off by going 6-2 through their first 8, but Stephen Curry was playing some of the best basketball we've ever seen from him, Draymond Green was having a hilarious offensive revival, and the Chris Paul acquisition was actually working out pretty well. However, almost a month into the season, the Warriors are now 6-8, having lost 6 games in a row, and things aren't looking too hot. Now, I'm not too worried about this team as the season goes on, but some of their struggles have occurred all year long regardless of if they've been winning or not, and they need to change. For example, both Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins have been incredibly disappointing this season and have played a big role in the Warriors' struggles. This, combined with some questionable coaching decisions from Steve Kerr, have led to where the Warriors are currently at, and while things can very easily get turned around, it's still not looking too good. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the Warriors' struggles and where I think they could go from here. If you're new to the channel and enjoy the content, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,500 subscribers by the halfway point of the NBA season, and any help with that is greatly appreciated. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Prior to this 6-game losing streak, the Warriors had an offensive rating of 117.4, which ranked in the top 7. However, during this cold stretch, it dropped down to 107.7, which ranks 27th in the NBA. So it's pretty clear that the offense has been struggling a good bit. But why? Well, there's a lot of factors going into that. For starters, prior to their 2 most recent games, no one on the Warriors other than Steph Curry had dropped 20 or more points in a game. Now, this isn't always a be-all end-all of an offense's success, but when taking a deeper look into how some of their guys have been playing, it starts to paint a bigger picture. One of the most talked about Warriors this season has been Klay Thompson, and it hasn't been for good reasons. While he started off the season playing pretty well, it's been nothing but downhill since. Through 13 games this season, Thompson is averaging 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, while shooting 40% from the field and 33% from 3 on 7 attempts. To put it simply, his shots haven't been falling. Yes, his shot selection has been pretty bad at times, but even when he's getting to his spots and getting space, he isn't hitting anything. And in fact, in his last 5 games, Klay is shooting 16 of 56 from 3. So, yeah, it's been really bad. Not to mention, Klay is not nearly what he used to be on defense, so when his shots aren't falling, he really isn't providing much of anything to the Warriors. That's really been the story of his season thus far. However, I'm really not too concerned with him. While yeah, Klay definitely has his stretches where he stinks it up a bit, especially in the beginning of each season, he always manages to heat it up as the season goes on. For example, last year he had a similar, if not worse, start, and ended up hitting the 6th most threes in a season in NBA history. So moving forward, he just needs to find his shot again, and it'll be fine. Really, it's all just a matter of when he manages to do it. As for Andrew Wiggins, I also have faith in him turning it around, as he's also had a very bad start to the season. Through 14 games, he's averaging a career-low 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist per game, while shooting 43% from the field and 22% from 3 on about 3 attempts. Wiggins has had a lot of moments this season where he's been really hesitant with the ball in his hands offensively, and this lack of aggression is a big reason for the slump he's currently in. While he did struggle a good bit on the back end of last season as well, I put that more on the fact that he missed half the year with a family emergency than anything else. Wiggins is just a case of needing to be more locked in offensively, and I'm sure it'll come soon. In fact, at the time of this recording, he's coming off of a super efficient 31-point game against the Thunder, so a turnaround could very well be coming soon. Overall, the issues of players not being in a slump is what's costing the Warriors the most. This was something that was pointed out by a good friend of mine, Double D, so if you want another perspective on the Warriors' struggles, go check out his newest video, link in the description below. But the Warriors are shooting about 16 open threes a game, which by the NBA standards means the defender is within 4 to 6 feet. Despite this, they're hitting them at just a 26% rate, which is the 2nd worst in the entire league. I will say that the Warriors are hitting their wide open threes at a good rate, but then again, they should be. On the season, overall, the Warriors are taking the 7th most threes in the NBA, but hitting them at a 35% rate, which is 20th in the league. So when you have one of the best 3-point shooting teams historically start off the season shooting so poorly, it's clear that things can easily be turned around once players start finding their shots. Guys like Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Chris Paul have all been great shooters in recent years, so once they get out of this slump, it could get really scary for the league. The problem, though, is that the Warriors' offense is heavily predicated on 3-point shooting, and when these guys and the team's role players aren't hitting their threes, it gets really tough to watch. So while yeah, these guys are in a shooting slump and will likely return to normal as the season goes on, who knows how long that's going to take, and by the time this happens, who knows what the Warriors' record could look like. I don't want to overreact too much to an early shooting slump, but really outside of Steph, the Warriors haven't had many consistent 3-point shooters, as the only two guys on the team aside from Steph that are shooting above 34% from 3 are Draymond Green and Brandon Podziemski, and they're only taking about 2 a game. I'm sure the team's going to manage to turn it around soon, but it's still something to think about since again, who knows how long it's going to take. Defensively, it's been pretty interesting as well. While a good portion of the struggles can be attributed to Draymond Green only playing in 9 games due to both a sprained ankle and his attempted assassination of Rudy Gobert, the Warriors do still have some good defensive personnel to where they're still going to be a solid defensive unit. While they haven't been bad on that end, they haven't been very great either. On the season, they have a defensive rating of 112.2, which ranks 16th in the league, which is about where they were last season as well. Guys like Jonathan Kuminga, Gary Payton, and Kevon Looney have all remained pretty good on that end and have done a great job at holding things down defensively in the games that Draymond has missed this season. This is another area where I'm not really too concerned with when it comes to the Warriors. They were a league average unit last season and were still a pretty damn good team overall, so for them to be in the same range despite Draymond missing a good chunk of games makes me feel like this team could be a pretty damn good on defense by the season's end. Now, there have been some positives for the Warriors this season despite their losing streak. For starters, Stephen Curry is playing at an absolutely absurd level right now, as through 12 games, he's averaging 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists a game, while shooting 48% from the field and 45% from 3 on 12 attempts. I mean, holy shit, dude. Steph is 35 years old and probably playing the best basketball we've seen since his MVP seasons, which is saying a lot. Like, not only is Steph taking a career high in threes, but he's hitting them at his best rate since 2015. While he hasn't been perfect during the Warriors' losing streak, he's still hitting 39% of his threes on 13 attempts in these games. So him, quote-unquote, struggling still has him as the best shooter in the league. Steph has obviously been the biggest reason for the amount of success the Warriors had prior to their losing streak and is probably going to continue playing at this high level like he always has. Like, I kind of knew that Steph wouldn't slow down much as he got older, but for him to almost, in a way, be getting better is just fucking absurd. Outside of Curry though, like I said, Draymond Green has had a pretty funny offensive revival. Now, he isn't like 2015 good, but he's having by far his best season as a scorer in 6 years. Through 9 games, he's averaging about 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, while shooting 48% from the field and 45% from 3 on 2 attempts. Obviously, the volume of threes isn't crazy, but it's close to the amount he's taken for his career, and he's finally knocking them down again. Only time will tell if this is sustainable, but if he can go back to being a good shooter, it could provide a ton for the Warriors' offense. Another player who's had a really weird season for them, though, is Chris Paul. He's been incredible as a playmaker and still remains good on defense, but his scoring has seemingly disappeared. He's averaging about 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists a game, while shooting 39% from the field and 30% from 3 on about 4 attempts. Watching him play, it's pretty clear that he's trying to find this way in the Warriors' offense, and this is something that was kind of going to be obvious going into the season, as we all knew he was going to be a clunky fit in this system. Regardless, he's done a lot as a passer and facilitator, having the 5th best assist-to-turnover ratio amongst all guards this season. If he can continue to find his way in this offense and go back to being the scorer we've seen him be in recent seasons, then he'll be fine. Again, this kind of just relates back to the Warriors' overall problems of being in a team-wide shooting slump. But back to the negatives before I end this, Steve Kerr really hasn't been that great this season. For starters, he's been playing Corey Joseph a little too much recently. Like, more than Moses Moody in their most recent loss to the Thunder, for example. Now, Moses Moody isn't perfect, but the fact that Kerr has opted to play Joseph more or similar minutes than Moody is just insane. I am a big Corey Joseph guy and I have a ton of respect for him, but he just simply isn't very good at basketball at this point and doesn't provide much on either side of the floor compared to Moody, who's a pretty damn versatile player. Alongside this, the Warriors have been running way too many 4-guard lineups for the size they have on the roster. These guys aren't great, but players like Kuminga and Trace Jackson-Davis are on the roster for a reason, and refusing to play them in certain spots is just silly to me. This, combined with a decision to not foul Chet Holmgren on the shot he hit to send the game to overtime on Saturday, and some other overall small decisions, has really pissed Warriors fans off, and I can see why. Kerr has always been in a weird spectrum of being overrated or underrated by fans, and it's been really tough to tell how good of a coach he actually is, but decisions like this definitely help paint a better picture. Overall, I'd say not to be too worried about the Warriors. They're definitely in a tricky spot right now, but once guys like Klay, Chris Paul, and Andrew Wiggins get their shooting right, and Draymond returns from suspension, this team will be fine. The only problem is that there's no telling how long it's going to take these guys to start hitting their shots again. Regardless, though, it's not like they're just magically bad at basketball, so I personally wouldn't worry too much. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap things up here. Let me know in the comments below what you think the Warriors can do to help solve the problems they've had so far. And if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe so I can hit 1,500 subscribers by the halfway point of the NBA season. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.